What's up guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Priscilla. I'm a Nigerian women's wear designer based in the UK. It's been a hot minute since I actually sat and did a proper intro, but in this video I'm going to be experimenting with a new technique from Pattern Magic 3. So if you're familiar with the Pattern Magic series, it's a book by Nakamichi, and I think there's one for stretch fabric, there's one for woven, and this one comes in like in the English version. I got this for, I think I got this for Christmas or for my birthday 2 or 3 years ago, and I haven't really used the book since then. So I experimented with this technique that allows you to get rid of the dart on the front of a bodice, and you can go ahead and add volume, press that circular volume to the side, so you create a really nice, clean, elegant detail on the front. I did this for just the front of the bodice, so you have the freedom to add a bag, add zip, buttons, add a skirt if you want to make it a dress. Just be experimental as possible, because I believe garment construction can be fun. So if you'd like to see how I play around with this technique, make sure to keep on watching. All links will be down below for the book and for any other materials mentioned in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. As usual, I have my tools I'm going to be working with here, and the book that I'm going to be using today is Pattern Magic 3, which I will link down below for anyone who hasn't tried out any of the Pattern Magic techniques. I just think they're really fun and interesting. To test my pattern, I have this bi stretch fabric in a nice plum color. I only needed like a meter since I'm just working with the front. I also have my basic bodice with shoulder dart here. I have my pins, I have tape measure to take down measurements, I have my paper and fabric scissors, my marker pen, as well as my pattern master to help me draw my curved lines. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be duplicating my front bodice because I want to keep my original plan. I just went ahead to trace out from the shoulder down to the waistline because that's the area that the design really shows. So I went ahead to include the shoulder and the waist dart as well, because we're going to be getting rid of that and adding fullness later on. So now that I have my front here, I'm going to go ahead and fold it inwards like so, in such a way that the two ends of the dart they meet. So I will do this for the shoulder and do this for the waist, and because it's not really like a straight dart, you should have this curliness happen on one side of the front, especially along the center front edge. So once that is folded nice and neatly, go ahead and cut out your darts. You can either do it this method, or you can use sort of a sharp blade to cut along the lines. So you have the shoulder dart removed, the waist dart removed, and you have that bust point as the only joining area, which you pull apart. So next up, I'm going to be shaping the side panel of my front, so we have more of a straight line that we're going to be connecting to our volume later on. So I'm going to grab my pattern master and my marker pen, and I'm going to be drawing sort of a diagonal line that goes from the shoulder all the way to the waistline. You can do this in sets, but it has to create a slanted straight edge that would allow you to add extra pattern paper later on. So once I've drawn in my line, I'm going to grab a scissors and cut along this line, getting rid of this angled point that the dart has on this side panel here. Don't worry, because we're adding volume later on, you would not lose any measurement along your bust line. So once that is all done, I'm going to be adding volume, starting with the center front panel, and I've cut myself some fresh pattern paper. I've taped it down, and I'm going ahead to tape down this dart edge onto the pattern paper like so. Just ensure it's a good size, so if you want to draw in your shape, you have enough pattern paper to accommodate that. So grabbing a pencil, whenever I'm drawing in rounded shapes, I always like to go in first with a pencil to draw in the shape that I want, and you want the shape to be wider sort of in the middle and taper in towards the bottom and the top. This is what will help you to decide how round or how narrow you want your volume to be on the bodice. So once you're happy with the shape, you can go ahead and redefine your lines using a sort of more permanent means of drawing, like a marker pen, with the help of my pattern master. So once you are happy with your shape, I'm just going to go ahead and add my 1 centimeter seam allowance, because we're going to have a seam along this edge and you want to have extra, so you're able to join this panel onto the next panel that will be on the side. So I'm just going in to draw in any necessary edges for the top as well as the bottom. Don't forget to add at least 2 notches, because I find that when you're doing curved seams and you have notches, it just guides you a bit more. I'm going to go ahead and trace this same shape onto another pattern paper, so we have identical volumes on this center front edge as well as the side edge as well. So I'm just drawing along the sort of the seam allowance side, so we know we already have the seam allowance included in this particular piece here. So I'm adding my notches as well, because this is going to go onto the other side or the side panel for your front bodice. So remember to just indicate where the exact edge of that dart end is, because that will guide you to attach it to the other side of your bodice. So once that is all done, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my pattern piece like so, cutting along the seam allowance line carefully from the top all the way down to the bottom. And remember to use your paper scissors, because we don't want to ruin our fabric scissors. So once that is all done, I like to shave off any excess and tape back any exposed ends. So this is going to be your panel 1, which would be attached to this side panel. Thankfully, we've already traced out the shape or the volume, and all we need to do is attach it along that dart edge. So I'm just going to align the edge of panel 2 to the edge of the dash lines that I made from the tracing we did from panel 1, and I'm going to tape it along that sort of dashed edge, which is our guide in this case. So once that is taped down and is attached in place, I'm going to cut this out, so we have this panel 2 or side panel ready to be cut out on fabric and joined to the other side of the bodice. Just remember, because of how you have attached this, you would need to cut in such a way that the edges align on this side, because you want to be able to join this particular curved seam here like so. And when you cut that mid front, you have 1 piece for the front and you have 2 pieces for the side to make a whole front of a bodice. So these are the patterns all done. You need just 2. You can go ahead and trace out a back bodice if you want to make this an entire top. You can cut out a skirt as well if you want to make a dress, but the focus in this tutorial is just going to be the front bodice design. So once you're happy with everything, I'm going to go ahead and test these patterns on actual fabric. I have pinned down my center front pattern or panel 1 along a folded edge. So I have just 1 piece that goes across the mid front, and then I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces for my side, 1 on the left and 1 on the right hand side. So once I've cut out all of my pattern pieces on fabric, I'm going to go ahead and cut my notches, because this is going to make sewing and joining these pieces together a lot easier. I like to use a smaller scissors because it just gives me a lot more control. So once I've cut my notches, I'm going to take the pattern pieces off, remove my pins, and then what I did with that mid front bodice was I fused interfacing the one that you just iron on the fabric on the wrong side of the fabric. I fused it along the rounded edge, so it gives that part of the garment a bit more stability and makes it stiffer. So once that is all done, I went ahead to pin down the curved seam together, and we're going to be sewing on whatever seam allowance that you added on your pattern. Because I added 1 centimeter, I am sewing on a 1 centimeter seam allowance. If you added 1/2 inch, remember to sew on 1/2 inch seam allowance. So once I've sewn that, I'm going to press all of my seams flat and press this rounded shape sidewards. So I'm going to show you what it looks like once everything has been pressed, and I just pinned it on the bodice to give you a clearer idea. So this is what the front of the bodice looks like once it's all sewn and pressed. It actually has a futuristic effect that I really like. So when you press it, it should end up in a shape that sits comfortably on the front of your bodice or the front of your garment, because when you press it sideways like this, you got rid of the excess that you added through that dart edge. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video all the same. Feel free to incorporate this into your dress design, your top design, or your jacket design, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Until my next video, have a good morning, afternoon, and evening wherever you are. Bye.